You brought up the differences in both of your styles, in that he was the athlete and you were the entertainer. What do
Yeah.
you think makes a good team?
Well, look, I think it's definitely the chemistry, and whether it's one's an entertainer and one's an athlete, or one's big and one's small, one's strong and one's not. You know what I mean? Like I think you again manipulate the positives of your relationship, and it just so happens that Billy and I worked great together. You could beat me up, and I could cut a promo good enough to make you care about me. So when you're beating me up, you want to see me tag Billy, and so that's where we went from there. It was hit the bong resin. Hit
You
the
got
bong.
it, man.
Well, I love the dog. I love that I didn't hear the dog growling before.
All right, we'll
was a
get us
deep
back
one.
on track,
Yeah.
and just talking about each of you and making the elements of a good tag team. I'm going to move it forward then. What causes that good chemistry you talked about? And I'll reword that question. Can chemistry be created, or is it something that only happens naturally?
I think it's the latter, and that's, look, I could be proven wrong, but I think it's the latter. I think it's something that is above me and you and teachable elements. You know what I mean? I think it's something, we have a connection with each other. We had a immediate connection with each other, with me and Billy, because we were friends and we were working together against each other, and so we developed a good relationship.
Right.
I had a great relationship with Hunter, with Sean, with X-Pac, with China. Developing these relationships, and I think that's what causes chemistry. I don't think chemistry can be taught. I just don't. Again, these are all my opinions. They are not fact, because none of this is a science. And I have seen people work before where they weren't opposites, opposites attract, where they were bookends, and it still worked really well. And we'll talk about some of those tag teams coming up as well.
Do you remember or know of any teams that were really great in the ring, but they didn't actually get along or like each other?
Yeah, the Rock and Roll Express. Like, I think they get along, but to this day, if you are around any of them, when Ricky's not standing there, Robert's burying him. When Robert's not standing there, Ricky's burying him. So that's also old school, and so that's just kind of how it's a rough crowd, like I mentioned. But they play rough, so you don't know if they don't like each other or if they just are playing the game. But look, I know Hawk and Animal got in several actual fist fights over it. When you're in that kind of a relationship, me and Billy didn't get along up front. We have our relationship today 100 times better than it was back then, because we were two different people, and a part of his life is going to the gym and working out and eating right, and that was not a part of my life then, and sadly enough, it's not a part of my life now. I'm thinking I should probably change that, but the opposites attract. It's not a science. So you could have bookends. The Rockers, think the Fabulous Ones, the Fantastics, the Rock and Roll Express. The people that dress the same and look the same and do tag team moves. You ever see me and Billy do? We've done one tag team move in our whole life. I think it was a tombstone pile driver. Talk about making his neck stiff. Mick Foley took a Blue Chew. His neck's been stiff for a week.
Hey, promo code Dogg.
Oh, D-O-double-G.
Do you find that most teams do get along, and do they travel together usually, or do they try to still have some sort of independence so that they're not always together?
Yeah, I think that goes, on a case-by-case basis also. Look, me and Billy didn't travel together a lot. I would ride with with Hunter and China, and sit in the back seat and smoke a joint out the window so they wouldn't smell it, you know what I mean, or try to whatever. And then I would go to the hotel and go to sleep, and they would go eat and go to the gym and do all do all this stuff that I should have been doing, but I don't. And so, yeah, we didn't always ride together. Billy had friends before I got there that he was riding with. And so I rode with him some, but not all the time. Me and X-Pac rode together a lot. Even if we weren't teammates, we rode together a lot because we had similar
Interests.
ambitions.
Of all the years that you've witnessed tag teams and locker